Welcome to 2D Web Solutions, episode 11, where you ask questions and we find solutions. I'm Arelthia Phillips, founder of Pintop Solutions, LLC.
And I'm Kerry Carron, founder of Ultimate Solution, LLC. Each episode, we answer up to 5 different questions related to design and development and your business, and we get these questions from you, our visitors. So if you have or would like a question answered from us, just visit our website, 2dwebsolutions.com, anytime and submit your question.
Okay, Kerry, so today's topic is discovering the hierarchy of needs in the aspects of design and development.
That is a fantastic topic, and I think it's going to be a really good episode.
Yeah, I think so as well. The interesting thing is that when I first saw our question for today, what are your must-haves as a designer and developer, I was like, wow, this is a big question with lots of elements, and it brings to mind Maslow's hierarchy of needs for me.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Well, as a matter of fact, I am. But of course, that has to do because once we got the question and we started thinking about it, we came across a lot of things about Maslow and this theory. So in a 1943 paper, A Theory of Human Motivation, American psychologist Abraham Maslow proposed the idea of physiological, or is it psychological? Psychological hierarchy of needs in human beings.
Yeah, it's something big that you see pushed a lot in education, especially secondary education when it comes to dealing with kids. Because there are these different levels that need to be met in order for them to be motivated to do what we want them to do. And I think this fits great with our business because there are certain things that we need in order for us to move forward in our business and to be successful in our business. So let's address and discuss each one of the levels, Kerry.
Okay, Maslow's primary level is the physiological level, and that has to do with breathing, having food and water, shelter, clothing, sleep, and things that make you comfortable. So if we relate that aspect of it to our question, which is what are your must-haves as a designer and developer, how would you answer that question?
For me, it's interesting because I'm going to start out with the internet. That's like a must-have for me. If I don't have my internet, then I can't function. But then, as I move forward and I think about it some more, I need my gum to work. Gum helps me focus. And it keeps me from snacking on all these different things. Then also, I need to, in the morning when I get up, I need to get a nice hot shower so I can just function and work. And I have to start out my day also by reading my Bible. That's like an important need for me at the foundation. If I don't have that, things tend to not go right for me. And there's some other things that are like needs for me. It's like if my coffee or my green tea. And then I'm gonna blame Jeremy for this, but I have to have coffee candy. I keep coffee candy near my desk. And then as I work, especially when I'm coding, I listen to Pandora. Pandora is on my computer. I even listen to Pandora so much that it's like at times my son's like he can't sleep without hearing Pandora because Mama's always up coding with Pandora going. So those are like some basic needs for me. If I don't have those needs, then it's hard to get to any other level. What about you, Kerry?
I have a lot of those same needs, of course, and I go into the area where you talk about having music on and things like that. I'm not a music listener during my work time. I like to have a quiet area that's free from distractions, so I have my own office area. It happens to be in one of the main rooms of our house, but I'm the only one home in the afternoon or in the mornings when I'm scheduled to work from home. And so I like it like that. There's also an app that I have used, and it is a sort of music, and it's called Brain FM. And I actually listen to this every night when I go to sleep, and it helps me sleep better and more soundly through the night. But they also have a section in there where you can set it up to listen to focus. And I do find if I have that kind of music on, then I am able to focus better. Some of the other things that if you're working long hours and you don't want to get up from the computer except to take that bathroom break, having finger food nearby is a good thing. Being particular in what you choose so that crumbs don't fall into your keyboard. Spill-proof cups if you're prone to accidents. For me specifically, I like to have my coaster and my coffee off to the side, specifically far enough that I have to actually turn and reach for it so that when I do bring it in front of my computer or my keyboard, I know it's there. Things like that. So temperature control, that's another big thing. Has to have the right temperature in the room. Being too warm, I get fidgety and I can't, or I get tired, and then I can't focus on what I need to. If it's too cold, then my body is busy trying to get my metabolism to fire up so that I can move on and focus that way. So those are the things that I have to have in order for me to do my job well when I'm working from home.
Okay, all right.
So the second element that Maslow refers to is safety. So relating to Maslow again, and relating to personal, financial security, health, order, law and protection from elements. Let's go into the safety aspect of things a little bit.
Okay. From safety aspect for me, I'm hearing that. All right, so there's like health insurance. Also, for me, it's important from a safety standpoint, additional sources of income. And then a really big developer thing is I have to have my version control. If I'm creating anything, I'm going to use Git and I'm going to have it under version control because I feel like that's like a safety net. That's like the security in the house, you know, the camera system in the house, the alarm system in the house. That's part of just basic security so that I feel safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of you know that I'm a gun-toting female, and my gun is right next to me at all times, and I make sure that my back is always facing away from the door so that if somebody comes in unexpectedly or breaks in or bursts through, I'm ready for that. But on a more business side of things, one of the things that I think is important for designers and developers to get established right away are separate personal and business checking accounts. And then not only just having them, but maintaining them and spending out of each of them appropriately. So that's that can be a safety thing, just like your legal entities or your terms of service are. For me, from a health perspective, I had some chronic neck pain a few years ago, which is no longer chronic, thankfully. And a lot of that had to do with my posture while I was in front of my computer. I was working on a laptop, and on a laptop, your keyboard is attached, so you're constantly putting your head down, trying to look at that. So I have a more comfortable chair that puts my body in the right position. I have a place for my feet. And if I'm using my laptop, I have it elevated, and I use a separate keyboard, and then I just use the monitor that is raised at a level that I can look straight ahead and not have to worry about dipping my head or wrenching my neck in any direction up or down to see the monitor clearly.
Yeah, and you know, Kerry, that brings to mind, I think something else that's also very important from a safety standpoint, especially related to health, is having a comfortable bed, a bed that meets your needs, so that when you do finally walk away from the computer or the phone or whatever, you actually get a good night's sleep. I think that's
one of the things I need to upgrade, because the mattress I have right now, it is not good, and my husband is having the same issues. And it's like, we have got to invest in a better mattress.
Yes, yes.
We're going to go with the sleep number.
Okay. All right. So, and I think we already mentioned things like Backup Buddy to keep your websites backed up, the firewall on your hosting, things like that, your SSL certificate on your websites. So let's go on and move on and talk about love and belonging, whether we're talking about friendship, love, intimacy, family, community, belonging, and relationships. What needs do you think as a designer or developer that we have there, Kerry?
Well, when you're working from home, which could be a whole nother topic and a whole nother show, you have a whole new set of challenges ahead of you when it comes to interacting socially. So some of the things that are a must-have for me is I have to have some sort of connection with other people who are doing like-minded individuals who are doing similar things that I'm doing. So I like to have Skype groups and Slack groups, online communities like OWNWP.
Can you can you tell us a little bit more about OWP and your Slack groups, Kerry?
Sure. OwnWP is a website and community that is a group of elements or a group of resources for other web designers or online business owners to access to help them develop their business and work with one another to collaborate to to impact as many people as possible. In fact, one of our taglines is members collaborating to impact millions. So that's the whole goal of it, and it's a really fun community to be part of, and it's pretty much run by its members. If there's something you want as a member to have happen on that community, you pretty much put in a suggestion, and then we do it, because it's there for all of us to get the most out of it from one another. So
great.
Another thing that I like to have, oh, and the Slack group. The Slack group is, Slack is very similar to Skype, except it's more aligned with a particular group, for lack of a better term. And it's a place where people can go and hang out online, has different channels within it that you can join and become part of. You can go there to ask questions, to answer questions, to use as resources, and there's some channels that are set up just as a water cooler, so you can just put in a good joke of the day if you want to, and there's other ones that are specifically aligned to questions regarding maybe WordPress or maybe a particular plugin or what you need help learning more about and things like that.
Okay, so if someone needs, maybe they're looking for a community to join so that they don't have to feel, kind of isolated, I guess we could put a link to this information in the show notes, Kerry.
Absolutely, absolutely. And OWNWP.com is the website. You can get access to the Slack group right from there. You can join the membership, which is free. You can do it all right there. But most importantly, and the bottom line to this love and belonging aspect that Maslow talks about is having those contacts and making those contacts. And what I love the most about how I have been able to develop my realm of contacts is the fact that my online contacts start as just basic relationships. But these relationships develop into friendships, and then these friendships become they turn into much more, and a lot of these close friendships turn into team members that I can work with today, tomorrow, and into the future.
Yeah, and for me, I think it's important for to reach out and be associated, whether it's online or locally, to be associated with positive people, and not to be pulled in with a bunch of negativity. So I try to focus on positive people, whether it's a local group of like-minded individuals or it's in the Slack chat. But whether it's local or online, it's just important, I think, for us as developers and designers to find others that can relate to us. Yes, we may have family members, and it's important for them to understand what we do. Maybe not completely understand what we do, but have provide us support for what we do. But we need individuals around us, whether it's a keyboard away or actually to talk to a person that understand us. That is so important.
So as a designer and developer, Aletha, how do you get, if you're not meeting with them online, are there other avenues that are available to people who are freelancers or entrepreneurs that they can take advantage of?
Yes, there are local meetup groups, there are word camps that happen if you're involved with WordPress. Um, Meetup.com, you can find individuals locally in your area that are interested. Also, you'll be surprised as you meet people online, you'll be surprised how many people that you end up meeting that are local to you and you never knew it. So just as you meet people, be mindful of that. Sometimes they may actually be in your area, and you can make that connection and meet with them locally as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea. All right, so that brings us to the fourth aspect in the hierarchy of needs, which is esteem. And that relates to achievement, status, prestige, recognition, and mastery, even independence and responsibility. So if we relate that to the question of a must-have for you, Aletha, where does that take you?
It takes me to my freedom to create and also to clients actually paying me for my services or paying me for a product that I create. That's great recognition. Also, when you receive referrals from your peers, it's one thing to receive a referral from a client that you've done work for, but it's something else to receive a referral that comes from one of your peers that is in the same space that you're in, but they send them to you because you can get the job done for that person. And that is a big, that is like big recognition for me. And increasing your user base, whether it's a plugin or your form or whatever, when that number increases, that's like, yes, okay, I'm doing something right. When you get mentioned on popular blogs, it's like, okay, all right, I'm doing something right. Somebody sees me. I'm not invisible.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing because a lot of times we can get to the point where we feel invisible. And we're not invisible. People see us. They may not always tell us that. You might have to go to an event and somebody say, "Hey, I know you," before you realize, oh, people see me. People are watching me. Okay, but it happens. So before I keep rambling on and on, what about you, Carrie?
Well, I think it's interesting that you mentioned that you've shared this story with me a couple of times that one of the first people that you met in the iThemes training community was me and how I stood out and I had no idea. So that, and every time I hear that I'm like, what? What is that all about? But some of the other ways that you can improve your esteem or have esteem for yourself or from others, when you finish a project and you can add it to your portfolio and you see your portfolio growing and you can feel that you have a reputation as an authority on a particular subject, it does give you that sense of esteem and knowing that. Meeting people who know who you are is an incredible feeling, especially if you take an opportunity to join up at some of those meetups. I know when we first had our Skype group, a number of us made an effort to go to some particular events, and when we all met up, it was like we all knew each other. It was like we were best friends, and it was like, I know you, and you really do, and it's so cool to. It's like having a family reunion with the good side of the family that you've been, that you haven't seen in years, and it's so exciting, and it's just such a great feeling.
I like the way you put that.
Yeah, and so the other thing is when you have a deep understanding of the skills, you start recognizing that you do have these skills, whether it be in HTML, CSS, other codes, PHP, whatever. And you mentioned also being mentioned on popular blogs. For me, another thing is I might go into my website and there'll be a ping back or a link back from another website. I'm like, well, where did that come from? And it's some website that has linked to something I wrote. Just like, wow, that's some serious recognition.
Yeah.
And it does. It just makes you feel really good.
Yeah, it does. It does. So, Carrie, let's move on to self-actualization. What do you need? How do you know when you get to that point of self-actualization? What do you need for that?
Well, according to Maslow, that self-actualization is peace, knowledge, self-fulfillment, realization of your own personal potential, your personal growth, and having some peak experiences. So I mentioned a little bit about that in the Esteem because to me they're kind of intermingled. But the bottom line, when it comes down to reaching that top level of self-actualization, is having the faith that knowing no matter what is thrown at you, you can deal with it, and you'll be okay. It's no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. And this has to do with watching your business grow and or realizing that you're becoming the person that you really want to be. You know, you have these goals for yourself, and as you meet these goals, it's like, wow, I am doing it. This is me, this is who I am, and this is where I want to be. How about you?
Wow. You know, when I think about this topic, and I look at it from a personal development standpoint, and I see that been I've met some new challenges and that have really pushed me outside of my comfort zone. And for me, that is like a big one. When I look at it and I say, oh, wow. I've had clients that I would have never expected to actually, I'm talking to these people and they're talking to me like I'm a normal person, but I'm like, wow, okay. And so that just, it's that being outside of my comfort zone, the personal development, the achievements that I've made, being able to look back and see the progress that I've made. I mean, that is so big. Like the different types of new projects that I've been able to take on, or I'm willing to take on, because at one point I would not have been willing to take on those projects. But if I didn't have the support of those around me, and if I didn't have everything else lined up, I wouldn't be willing to take on the new projects, to try the new things, to step out of my comfort zone. And so I feel like that is I'm there. I've reached where I'm trying to be. That keeps me going. That keeps me going.
That's cool. All right, so that wraps up the 5 levels. But what is and how do you reach self-actualization? So that's the big why.
And I think I kind of started to touch on that, because it's once you get to that point, once you realize that you can do one thing and it pushes you to that next level, and then you realize that, okay, I do have the support of all these other people. Other people do see what I'm doing. I'm going to new levels. I'm doing things that I never thought I would be able to do. And then you get to that point, and it's like, okay, this is why I do what I do, to
Yeah.
help other people. This is why I do what I do, to solve problems. This is why I do what I do, to create new things. This is why I do what I do, so that I can get out into the world and see things that I never thought I would see. This is why I do what I do, so that when somebody sends me their address and it says surprise somewhere, and I'm thinking, okay, they are joking. This can't really be the city that they live in. But, okay. So, I mean, it's just really stepping out of that comfort zone, willing to push further and further, because once you get to that point, it's like, I can go further, I can go beyond. And so, Kerry, what do you think? How do you get to that point of self-actualization, that big why?
Well, if we go back to some of the things we discussed, you can see how the importance of the physiological needs have to be put ahead and then built upon before you can move on and master the next level. In fact, according to Maslow, if you try to satisfy the needs of one level in the hierarchy without having first met the needs of the prior level, your place in the hierarchy becomes very unstable.
I think you bring up a good point, Carrie, because if you think about it, it's not very easy to spend a lot of time at your computer if you don't have those physiological needs met. And with the Slack groups and the Skype, you can't really interact with those people if you don't have certain things met. Like, I need my coffee before you talk to me in the morning. Don't talk to me until I get my coffee. Just little things like that. You don't have the support of those around you. You don't have that community to say, hey, we recognize you got that.
And you may not even have the skill set that you need, but by being involved, by setting up those foundations at those lower levels, and learning that information because others have gone through it before you, then you can build upon that. And suddenly, I don't know about you, but I have found myself on a number of occasions when somebody asks me a question and I just give out the answer. Then I step back and I'm like, wow, did I just say that? That was like exactly what was the right answer. And
Yes.
it's like you surprise yourself because you know more than you thought you did, and you're just there. You're just there.
Okay. All right. Great. 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 So, Kerry, our tweet tip for today. What's our tweet tip for today for them?
The tip for today that you can tweet anytime you like is build upon what is stable to get to the top.
All right. So before we go, we want to hear from you. We encourage you to leave us your comments on our website located at 2dwebsolutions.com so we can continue this conversation over there.
So once you do get over there, we want you to go ahead and leave your questions for us as well, because next episode we are going to have an annual wrap-up of this season, and then we are going to also share with you where we're heading for next season. We have some site changes, and we're especially interested in knowing what it is you want and need from us so we can help you find those solutions.
Wow, it's hard to believe, Kerry, it's been a year already.
I know, it's unbelievable.
Oh, wow. Guys, remember, when you ask questions, we find solutions. So while you're over leaving your comments on our website, feel free to submit your design and development questions so we can address them in future episodes.
And if you're really ready to take action toward building yourself a successful design and development business, be sure to subscribe to us. You know how to do it. Just look in the sidebar on the website, and all those places you can subscribe are right there for you. We'll see you next time on the next 2D episode, Aspects of Design and Development.
Goodbye, guys. Next time.